Act didn't really give universal suffrage. Didn't give the vote to the black people.
It didn't give it to women either.
Yeah, and in the original 13 states, you had to be a property owner or a taxpayer to vote.
That's right. Some states even had religious qualifications. What am I driving at?
Funny, Mr. Dixon. I was just asking myself the same question.
I think you're saying that voting wasn't always thought of as a basic human right.
Exactly. The idea only evolved with the growth of real democracy. You know, Grover Cleveland said that the vote is a public trust. Now, apparently you people feel that voting is a big farce.
I don't follow you, Mr. Dixon.
The school elections.
Oh, get off of it. It's not the same.
A 23% voter registration, and you don't even have 2 candidates for every office.
Student government's a joke, Mr. Dixon.
That's for sure.
Yeah, a bad joke.
Grover Cleveland never went to Walt Whitman. But then Walt Whitman never went to Grover Cleveland.
I've heard half of you right here in this class argue in favor of lowering the voting age to 18. Now, if you're this apathetic about school elections, what makes you think you're going to take national politics more seriously?
Student government's just going through the motions. Mr. Kaufman can veto anything the student council comes up with.
David here is running for student body president. He's got a great platform. Open campus, pass or fail grades and electives, a real student court, the whole bag. But if he's elected, you think he could do anything about it?
Well, if I didn't think I could do something, I wouldn't be running.
Fat chance. Kaufman will jump on you.
Well, it's not going to be easy. But I think we can get more rights.
Good luck. Don't hold your breath, David.
That's our biggest problem.
Me? I represent that remark.
Student apathy.
Oh, come now. How can anyone fail to be stirred by the issues in this election? The color scheme of the junior prom? The menu for the senior breakfast? Do we get new pom-poms or new pom-pom girls? These are times to try men's souls.
Very funny, Harvey. I still say student government is what you make of it.
No, it isn't. It's what the administration makes of it.
It's a farce.
Why kid ourselves?
I couldn't get through to them. It was like talking to a room full of 1,000-year-old men. They're very proud of their apathy. It's as if the only thing they care about is not being fooled.
Pete, I think you're making too much of this.
If the kids who are bright enough to be skeptical stay away from the polls, an imaginative candidate like David Kane doesn't stand a chance. That Dwayne Nelson will win on his looks and personality.
What's wrong with old Dwayne? He passes a great football.
That's fine on the football field. But he'll campaign on his good looks and school spirit, and he'll be a puppet president. And that just convinces the bright kids that student government is meaningless.
Well, we can't interfere in student elections.
But we do interfere.
We do not?
We establish grade point requirements for candidates. You can veto anything the student council proposes.
Wait a minute. Let's not fool around with that veto. I need it. I've got an area supervisor to answer to, don't forget, not to mention the parents. You know, they don't send their kids here to be self-governing. I'm the one responsible for keeping the store running.
Well, underneath all that apparent apathy, there's a lot of anger. And these kids are not going to stay quiet forever. Why do we always wait until people explode before we hear what they're trying to tell us?
Pete, let's face it. What this thing boils down to is you want the kids to have more authority, and frankly, I don't think they've shown that much responsibility.
How are they ever going to learn to be responsible when we have the final say on everything?
Well, how are we going to teach them anything when they... Well, now we're getting into the chicken or the egg department. It's making me hungry. Come on, let's have some lunch. Tell you what, we'll cut across the campus and listen to some of the candidates.
Okay, but we're going to hear the same old thing.
These are serious times, and I fully realize the seriousness of the task before us.
So what else is new?
I'll do my best.
Oh, look at this. Now, it's their school they're turning into a pigsty. Why do they do that?
Because they're not supposed to. Anyway, how do you figure it's their school? We make all the rules.
Yeah, we make them. And they break them.
Hey, Dwayne, you gonna be the next president?
Maybe if all you gals come out and vote for me.
We're with you, Dwayne, and we're gonna campaign for you, too.
That's great. I can use the help. Old David Kane's a pretty sharp guy.
And you said this wasn't going to be exciting.
All right, these are the arguments for an open campus. I want to form a committee to study the whole problem.
Dave, I really have to go, okay?
Hey, look, can't you stay for a few minutes, please? I mean, how do you expect anything to happen if we don't state our case? All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, this committee has got to represent everybody. Students, faculty, and the administration. Now, let's say we try open campus for a couple of weeks.
Dave,
then we go to...
I'm really late. Oh, can I please go?
You're about to witness the birth of a new political party. The Ring, Irene. Irene is my campaign advisor. She was formerly with Boss Tweed, but she got fired for not taking a bribe. I'm throwing my hat into the ring. Well, maybe I'll throw the ring into my hat. I promise you, friends, that won't be my last blunder. A vote for Harvey the political hack is a vote for bad government.
That looks like you managed to inspire somebody.
And if elected, I'll drain the student treasury and throw lavish parties in the swimming pool. Furthermore, I'll never make a promise I won't break, and that's a promise. So, if you really hate this school and you want to get even, vote for Harvey Butcher!
I just have to be honest with you. I don't think this thing is very funny.
Well, I have to be honest with you, too, Miss Johnson. I don't think it is either, but I'm doing my best.
You're making a mockery of our democratic institutions.
Oh, I think they do a pretty good job on their own.
It's only kidding around, Miss Johnson.
No, don't touch her. Let her talk. I believe in free speech, at least until I'm elected. Then, Miss Johnson...
But it's just this kind of cynical attitude that makes everybody so cynical.
Can I quote you on that? All right, it's time to kiss your babies.
Nice going, Carl. You got my vote.
Ah, Mr. Dixon, will you promise me you won't support me?
I promise.
Can I have a glad handshake on that?
Harvey, would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Oh, student government's a joke. You have to treat it as a joke. Follow me, friends. I'm going absolutely nowhere.
Hi.
Hi.
How about a cup of coffee?
As long as you don't tempt me with a piece of pie.
I promise.
I heard about Harvey Butcher.
Yeah, his campaign is really taking off.
He sure has imagination.
I just wish he'd find another use for it.
I don't know. We can always use a little humor around here, you know. Wow, look at that. The registration's really gone up. What'd they do, start giving away trading stamps?
Something better. A free shot at the administration.
Hey, we're doing a poll on the blue and gold. Who do you think you're going to vote for?
Who else? Harvey the hack. You see, if you analyze what's happening here, Harvey's managed inadvertently to polarize student feeling. He's using satire as a way of evoking the basic frustration of the students.
Hey, that's pretty good.
It is? What did I say?
Harvey the hack.
Well, at least he got the kids to register.
Yeah, as a joke.
Oh, Pete, it's today's joke. By tomorrow, it will be dead news.
Until the time of Andrew Jackson, the president was chosen by a select group of delegates. Why did they do away with that? Sally.
It was an aristocratic system.
Yeah, and it really didn't represent the will of the people.
Fools. Didn't they know the majority's always wrong? Point killer.
See you tomorrow. Oh, Harvey. How's the campaign going?
Oh, it's a real grassroots movement. Of course, it's crabgrass.
Seriously.
I think I can buy the freshman class if I can get them down to 6 cents a vote.
I should have known better than to ask.
No, the campaign's just a gag, Mr. Dixon. I don't have a chance. I can't even count on my own vote. I'm too apathetic. Hey, Harv!
You're really hanging in there.
I beg your
The
pardon.
blue and the gold pole. You and David are neck and neck.
You're mad.
David's got 26% of the vote. You've got 23. Dwayne Nelson's got 27.
How about that, Harv?
What do you think of that?
I demand a recount. Any poll that has me in contention is bound to be crooked. These percentages are right. This school's in serious trouble. I knew we should have never given the 14-year-olds the vote. Put me down, cousin. Put me down. I despise popular approval. If I want a spontaneous demonstration, I'll pay for it. With support like this, how can I fail?
Get your Harvey the Hack button. Harvey the Hack. Get your Harvey the Hack button. Oh, come on, wear one. Hey, come on, Harvey the Hack. Hey, how about you? You want a button? Everyone's wearing them.
I'll take one.
How about you?
No, thanks.
Why not?
Well, I just think the whole business is getting kind of silly, that's all.
You're probably the only one in the whole school who does.
Well, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Harvey the Hack. Get your Harvey the Hack button.
I know you have a contempt for politics, so vote for me. I'm as contemptible as anybody. This turnout is insulting. You know I can't stand crowds. Don't you have anything better to do?
What are you doing?
I'm dropping out of the campaign, Mr. Dixon.
Just like that.
Harvey's gonna win, isn't he?
Maybe. But you can still put up a fight.
How can you fight jokes?
Jokes are Harvey's way of saying what he feels. You've got your own way. Now, just because you think you might lose, that's no reason for you not to go on saying what's on your mind.
I don't mind losing, Mr. Dixon. I just don't want to be a fool.
David, the kids respect you, and they respect what you stand for.
Maybe. But they're gonna vote for Harvey. It's a lot more cool.
David, it's important for someone like you to keep airing the issues. Now, tomorrow is the election assembly. Another chance to state your position.
The kids know my position. They think it's a daydream. They don't want to be disappointed anymore.
I know.
Maybe they're right. Maybe you do have to play it cool. Maybe funny posters are the best we can do.
Harv, want to test the mic?
No, Mike, I want to test the Harv. 1, 2,
3.
Thanks. 3. This is a very exciting moment, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank all the little people who have helped make my campaign possible. My manager, Shorty. My writer, Tiny. Hi, Mr. Dixon. Want to jump on the bandwagon? I'll make you Postmaster General.
No thanks, Harvey. I can't stand the taste of stamps. Besides, you don't need me.
Oh, a man can use all the friends he can get. At least until he's elected.
Well, it looks like you've got it all sewed up, Harvey. David Kane has dropped out of the race.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Did you hear that?
Harv's won for sure now that we've got Dave's vote.
Mr. Dixon, if David drops out, I'm liable to win.
Looks that way, Harvey.
Oh, this was just a gag. I was only trying to, well, you know, make a point.
It looks like you made it all right. Now, you might be the new school president. So you better come up with something besides jokes.
Hello, Harvey.
Hey, I've been looking for you all over.
I'm kind of behind in my work.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Sure.
I'll have to try and keep my voice down. I don't want to wake up the librarian.
Harvey, I've got a lot of studying to do.
Yeah, sure. I have a hard time talking straight. Well, listen, I heard that you were gonna... David, don't drop out of the election here.
Why not?
Well, actually, you're stealing my thunder. That's petty larceny. You see, I'm gonna drop out myself at the assembly tomorrow.
Is this another joke?
No, I was planning to do that all along.
I don't believe that.
No, honest I was. I didn't think that students would take me seriously. All I cared about were the jokes. I am gonna drop out tomorrow. So if you don't stay in the race, Dwayne Nelson will be the next school president. You don't want that, do you?
What difference does it make?
Oh, Mr. Vanilla. Dwayne Nelson won't try and change anything. He'll be a lousy president.
Well, maybe that's what they want. People get the kind of government they deserve.
They need someone like you, David.
They didn't even listen to me, Harvey. They took you more seriously.
I never meant for this to happen, David.
Well, in a way, maybe you told it like it really is.
Well, David, maybe that's not as important as telling it like it can be.
Well, I guess you did, too. But the election's this afternoon, and, well, you've got some real candidates to choose from.
Name one.
Calvin Coolidge!
No, it's time to get down to business.
Monkey business!
I'm here to tell you that I am officially withdrawing from the race.
What race is that?
The human race!
Not too funny today, Harvey.
Yeah, right.
I'm not trying to be funny.
Who made you cop out? The administration?
Yeah. Nobody made me do anything.
Why don't you tell us the truth?
That is the truth.
We won't let you quit.
We'll elect you on the right end.
They mean it.
We want Harvey.
No.
We want Harvey.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I know why you want to vote for me. Because the system's no good. It's 100 years out of date. And you think this is getting back at it. Well, trying to make a joke out of it, or acting as if you don't really care, isn't getting back at the system. It's backing away from it. You're angry, and you don't want to be fooled anymore. But you wouldn't be out here if you didn't really care. You didn't come just to listen to me talk. You came to tell them something. And you know as well as I do that they're not going to change things. They're going to sit on their rules and regulations just like they've always done. If anyone's going to change the system, it's got to be us. And we're not going to do that by acting like we're above it all, like we don't really care. You do want good government. You do care. So vote for someone who can fight for it. Don't you dare vote for me. And that's no joke.
Harvey's kind of a tough act to follow. You people know what I think. Student government doesn't have to be a farce. Student rights can be a reality, but nobody's going to hand them to us. We have got to show our parents, the community, and the administration that we can assume responsibility. And most important, we're going to have to make ourselves heard. We want an open campus at lunch hour. We want some fences taken down.
Right on! Go, baby!
We want pass or fail grades in non-college prep classes. And we want a newspaper. An overground newspaper with no censorship. And we want, and we need, and we must have a student council with real authority. Give us responsibility, and we will behave responsibly.
Well, I have a speech in my files that I use to welcome the new student council every year. It consists of a variety of very lofty sentiments, some surefire gags for small gatherings. Consider that read. I'd like to get down to some new business. A message from them. In the last few days, I've sensed a wish for more student responsibility. A quiet wish, all but a whisper in the wind. All right? For the next month, I'm going to suspend my role as principal. Oh, I'll be here in body and in spirit. But I'm putting the responsibility for running Walt Whitman in the hands of a student-faculty committee. I will not veto anything. I will take your ideas downtown, and I'll fight for them. At the end of the month, we'll see what we have. Now I'd like to introduce the faculty chairman of that committee, Mr. Dixon. Did I forget to tell you, Mr. Dixon?
Did you intend to tell me, Mr. Kaufman?
I'm sure that Mr. Dixon has a few impromptu thoughts that he would like to favor us with.
Attention! Attention! Your radio station is under guard. Your airport and railroad stations have been seized. A state of emergency exists. This is a coup d'etat. I repeat, this is a coup d'etat.
No one will be hurt as long as you do as you're told. Now, to begin with, send all your pom-pom girls to my headquarters at once for questioning. Go! This is the last time I take you on a coup. Let's go!
Everything normal?
Everything's normal.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Right on. This land will take you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the
Hey, Richie. That's a lot of racket for 8 a.m.
Well, we got a permit, Harry.
Play it on me.
It's for a demonstration in favor of the vote for 18-year-olds.
Fine. Better turn the volume down on that choral group, though. You're going to get some static.
Okay, Harry.
Are you in favor of the 18-year-olds getting a vote, Harry?
Convince me.
Vice Principal's office. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I hear them, too.
And what's so magical about 21-year-olds? 18-year-olds are citizens, too. They should be represented.
That's right. They think an 18-year-old boy is old enough to fight, but he's not old enough to vote.
Oh, good morning. Morning, Pete.
Just exercising our right to petition, Mr. D.
The school board has a rule about petitions on campus.
They have a city council permit to demonstrate legally. Beautiful.
Would you sign our petition, Mr. Dixon? It's to send to our state senators asking them to support the voting bill for 18-year-olds.
You want to get the man in trouble, Pam? Mr. Casey's watching right out the window. Can't ask any teachers.
You can ask them all. We teachers aren't much good if we say something and then hide when the time comes to back it up. Thank you, Pam. See you later, Harry.
Yeah, later, Pete.
Now are you convinced, Harry?
Yes, I think I am.
Here, then you sign the paper. Ned, have you any idea what you're doing to the hard-nosed image of the fuzz, Harry?
Everything I can, Rich.
Uh-oh, here comes Mr. Casey.
Yeah, but we're legal.
Don't clutch up.
Give us the vote! Give us the vote!
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And what's this all about this morning?
They've got a permit. I've seen it.
Well, they're creating a disturbance.
No, they're not, Gil. They're in complete compliance with the law.
They are disturbing the neighborhood with all that squalling, Harry. I've had 10 phone calls already.
You better break it up. I've already told them to ease off the singing.
Why don't you just give them all medals and bus tickets and send them to Washington so they can run the country, Harry?
Gil, I can't stop a legal and licensed meeting that is really not causing...
You wouldn't even stop that mob of kids if they were hauling away the school brick by brick.
We have got to be reasonable, Gil.
I am reasonable. I am reasonable. I am the most reasonable vice principal I know.
Give us the vote! Give us the vote! Give us the vote! Give us the vote!
Yes, I'll make an official complaint and see that Mr. Kaufman gets it. Thank you.
That's the 11th complaint today about the Revolutionary Chorale.
These kids aren't revolutionaries, Gil.
How about that cop? Where are the teeth and the authority of the police when every kid in our school calls our cop Harry?
If we had more Harrys, we might not need as many teeth.
And that petition. Harry's behind that whole mess. He thinks he's one of them. Shows up at all the dances. Now, that could be a good thing, but what does he do?
He dances with the chaperones.
Yeah, and this thing he's got planned for the weekend. An outing? Now, how do we know what he means by that poster? Come to the sheriff's training ranch and rap with the fuzz.
Well, rap just means talk.
I don't live in a cave. But rap about what? And is there going to be a teacher there? No. Now, what's he going to say to those kids that he doesn't want us to hear?
I think what he means is that the kids won't open up if there's a teacher there.
He should keep you around as an interpreter. Oh, Pete, if anything happens out in that hallway and Harry comes running, there is not a teacher in this school could be sure whose side Harry would be on. But the odds are he'd be on the side of the kid.
You said the same thing about me.
There's nothing I can do about you.
What are you going to do about Harry?
I'm going to nominate him for chief of police of Bismarck, North Dakota.
Anybody ever call you a pig, Harry?
I'm afraid so.
Did it bug you?
Worse than that, it hurt. You see, I'm not a pig. Somebody was lumping me in with a stereotype that he had going for him.
That's because you wear the same uniform.
Exactly. And just like anybody else in this room, I want to be judged for myself.
Yeah, well, you're a cool man. But what about them other cats? Them dudes that did coming down in the neighborhood muscling cat. You know, the ones that put on the badge just for the club and the gun, man.
The department does its best to screen men who want to become officers, but some bad ones slip through.
Yeah, and they slipped down into my neighborhood, too. See this eye, man? Guess how that happened?
How?
Oh, I fell off my bike.
Harry, how come cops are always so uptight?
Fear, for one. You know, a lot of officers aren't much older than you kids in this class. He comes face to face with a bad situation, chances are he might be afraid. And fear makes anybody do something he wouldn't do if he were cool.
Well, when I see a cop, I'm the one that's scared, let me tell you.
That's right. So when both sides are afraid, anything can happen.
You know what's a drag, man?
Shoot.
When some cop who lives somewhere way on the other side of town tells me to beat it when I'm standing in front of my own house. You think that's right?
Well, I'd have to know the situation first, Jace. You know, 90% of a policeman's time is spent not in hassling people, but in keeping things around town running smoothly.
And the other 10% is bugging kids, right?
It might seem like that to you, Bernie, but to a lot of policemen, it's just the other way.
How's that?
Well, you know, blacks feel that they're discriminated against. Kids feel that they're discriminated against. Well, so do policemen.
Oh, you breaking my heart, man.
You know, there are a lot of cops who feel that they are looked down on by the public and the press, and they consider themselves an oppressed minority. And like other minorities, they get angry and hostile. And they feel that anything they do is okay because of the way they're being treated.
That's a mind blower. Just imagine a ghetto just for cops.
You know, we've got to learn to deal with each other as individuals, even people who happen to be wearing uniforms.
Well, I guess we just have to keep on talking, huh?
Right. And be straight with each other. Too many people are afraid to admit their mistakes. Now, you keep this good talk going, and who knows? Maybe we'll start finding a couple of answers one of these days.
Hold it. Everybody going on the outing with Harry, meet here after school to get organized. Got a little heavy there, huh, Harry?
Well, you can't duck the hot ones, Pete.
Got time for some coffee?
No, thanks. My break is over. I got to get back to the street. Thanks.
Again sometime?
You know guys like me can't resist an open door. Later, Pete.
Oh, I don't mind the fact that every cop is a sociologist these days. I think that's great. I just hate to see the passing of the cop with squeaky shoes that stole apples off the fruit stand. That was a big part of my childhood.
Well, progress has its price.
Yeah, I wish somebody'd tell my vice principal that. He thinks progress is subversive.
Yeah, just because Harry doesn't fit Gil's hard-nosed image of what a cop ought to be, Harry's automatically a bad cop.
I wish we could open Gil up. You know, he's not really a bad guy. If he could just accept the notion that a new idea is not a deadly germ.
And that's all she ever says is out of sight. How are you? Out of sight. Sorry, we're out of hamburgers. Out of sight. You know, I'm not sure she even knows how to speak English. Out of sight. Oh, Liz.
Hi.
Hi.
Ladies, we've got a problem. Maybe you can help us out. How are we ever going to make Gil Casey see anybody else's point of view?
One small atom bomb. Hey, no, how about role-playing? You know, get Gil to switch roles with the other guy, and he'll get to understand him.
Gil switch roles with Harry?
No, impossible. Once you got Gil into a policeman's uniform, you'd never get him out.
I'm not jiving you, Bernie. You've got to carry a whole mess of change in your pocket. Nickels, dimes, and pennies.
Well, what for, Rich?
Don't you know anything about snakes and bats?
I don't know anything about snakes and bats, but I do know that no pocket full of change is going to do any good if they bite you.
Explain it to him, Rich. We don't want the whole weekend thing ruined by him getting bit on by no snakes.
Okay, look. You take the change. Okay, you jiggle the change in your pocket. Snakes and bats don't dig the sound of change jiggling. They go the other way.
You're not putting me on.
Works even better on mosquitoes, but not too many people know about it working on mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah?
Pete?
Oh, Harry, did you forget what room the meeting's in?
No. Would you do me a favor, Pete?
If I can.
Well, I've been transferred out of this division, and I was wondering
Why? Where?
Downtown, city jail.
Harry, that's not your kind of work.
Well, Normal rotation.
Normal rotation.
Yes, you know how it is, Pete. I mean, they promise you anything until you enlist, and then once you're in, you end up in the infantry.
That's too bad. There's no way you can fight it and get transferred back?
No, normal rotation, it gets us all, Pete. And, look, I was wondering if you'd, tell the kids that the weekend is off.
There's no way you can make it? You know, they're pretty hyped up about this.
Yeah, well, so am I, but, it is off, Pete. So you just, tell them I'm sorry, okay?
Harry, what's the real story?
Just, settle for normal rotation, Pete.
Okay.
See ya.
Hey, hold it a minute. I got something I want to tell you. Harry won't be here this afternoon.
He's sick?
No. The fact is that Harry's been transferred out of our district.
Boo, man. That figures. That really figures. Who shot him down, Casey?
I asked him why he was being transferred, and he said it was normal rotation.
Boo fuzz.
And this weekend trip's been called off. He probably has duty.
Boo fuzz. Knock off the booze jive, Bernie. He couldn't been leaving for normal rotation, man. He wasn't here long enough.
That's what he said.
Well, he was lying, man, 'cause cops don't move but once a year, unless some fat cat pushes for it.
Harry was only here for 5 months.
Somebody shot him down, man.
Why didn't he tell us himself, Mr. Dixon?
Well, he didn't want to disappoint you. And he was too disappointed himself.
Well, he's told us about stuff that fell out before. Like the time we were all going to go to the picnic and he got called away to that riot.
He didn't tell us 'cause it was a lie. And Harry wouldn't lie to us, man.
That's right, Jason. It figures. We get a fuzz that grooved and the system just can't dig it.
Casey's the cat that got him. Man, I know it.
You don't know it, Jason. You just think it. Harry said he was transferred in normal rotation. That's the way it is.
The fat cats always win. Mark that down. Get fat or lose like Harry.
Yay. 3 cheers for the establishment.
Boo establishment.
Yeah, baby, boo.
Casey's gonna roast them alive.
What's going on here?
Our friend died, Mr. Dixon. Casey shot Harry down and we're burying him.
I'm supposed to be Harry.
Sit down.
You people are just asking for trouble.
Harry didn't ask, and he got it anyhow.
We're gonna dump this corpse on Casey's desk.
His desk? I thought it was outside his door.
Sit down.
The smartest thing you can do is to break this up right now. Harry wouldn't want you in trouble because of him.
We think we should do this, Mr. D. It wasn't any fast thing. We thought about it.
Well, you've made your point. Now, how about letting me look into this for you?
Yeah, let Mr. Dixon have a go at it, okay?
Sounds okay to me.
Okay, Mr. Dixon, we're counting on you. Music, Richie, up to the main gate.
How should I know where your son is, Mr. Carter? He's not in school. Well, I know he should be. I've been called worse names than that, Mr. Carter, but it boils down to the fact that you are still his father. Fathers have tried to punch me in the mouth before, too, Mr. Carter. Also, a couple of mothers. Good day, sir. You'd think somebody would come up with a couple of new, dirty names. Oh, you have a beef with me, too, huh?
Maybe. Are you being bum-rapped by the kids, or are you responsible for Harry's being transferred?
I didn't demand it, but I suggested it.
You know, before Harry was assigned here, more than half the student body believed that policemen were the enemy. Harry changed that.
Excuse me. Casey. Yes, he has been transferred. Oh, thank you very much, Mrs. Garver. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to call him irresponsible, but I think that an officer should be more aware of the community. It would be a bigger help for all of us. Yes. Thank you very much. Well, that's one more vote for my position, Pete.
Mrs. Garver? She calls in and complains about the students if her poodle sneezes.
Oh, look at what that cop Harry gave us for a going-away present, Pete. A mock funeral, posters on the wall, and kids waltzing around the corridors wearing blue armbands.
Harry didn't do that, Gil. You did. What are you trying to do? Show the students that anything or anybody new is totally unacceptable to the system?
That is not the point. Harry is not a cop for this neighborhood, whether a group of kids think so or not.
Gil. Oh, right. You know, this was really bad news, you're requesting Harry's transfer without my knowledge, especially when you knew that if you'd asked me, I'd never have allowed it.
I thought discipline was my job. Besides, I was only doing what the taxpayers were asking me to do.
We've been listening too much to the community and not enough to the kids.
I don't think that's what the community wants. Do you really think they would agree with you that Harry should have been bounced?
I sure do. You should have heard those phone calls. They were 10-1 against Harry.
Well, and I think we better find out if your little one-man Gallup poll is right. We'll ask the neighborhood. It's a community question. We'll ask the community what they think.
Open to the students?
Of course.
Well, what's the point in having the students there?
Gil, the point is that the students are involved, so they should be there.
If I know our student body, only a handful will show up. Harry is a cause as long as it's easy. But if they have to give up a date or a television show, they're going to drop Harry like a hot potato. Go ahead. Have your meetings. But I'll bet you they'll stay away by the thousands.
Do you think there's a chance of getting Harry reassigned here?
That's what the meeting's for. If there wasn't a chance, there wouldn't be a meeting.
You must be aware that vandalism has increased.
What? Oh, look at here. Mrs. Broder, I'm afraid I have to disagree with you. The police department records show that vandalism has actually decreased since Officer Collin has been assigned here. All right now. Speaking for those students who are interested in having the school try to get Officer Collin reassigned here is Richie Lang.
Neighbors of Walt Whitman High, parents, teachers, fellow students. Now, a lot of kids used to think all cops were pigs. Mean, hated kids. Beat up on people when there wasn't any need to.
Yeah, and then Harry showed up. Showed up at baseball games, at pep rallies and dances, but he never leaned on anybody. All he did was stop trouble when it happened.
Yeah, and see, the kids dug this, and he rapped with them. All he wanted to do is prove that cops could be,
Human.
Yeah, a human.
All right, now, speaking for the opposition, the boys' vice principal, Mr. Gil Casey.
I'm sure we all appreciate what Richie had to say. But what the students fail to realize is that a police officer is assigned to duty at a school, not to teach the students that the police are good and nice, but to be a deterrent to the bad types who would make trouble if he weren't there. Now, Harry is a friend of the students, but he is not what one could call the proper police image for this situation.
Harry thinks the law is for us, not against us. That's the kind of policeman he is. And that's the way we think all policemen should be. We want him back.
Right on. I think we have to look at the statistics. Our society is falling apart. Our streets are not safe. And the only answer to that is our police force. If the bad apples make trouble, they must know that the police will fall on them like a ton of bricks. Now, I am not trying to compare the students with criminals or anything like that. But what we need is a strong policeman. And Harry did not have the strength.
I think we know both sides. I move we take a vote.
I think we should have a little more discussion first.
Well, everything's been said.
Okay. Take a vote. All those in favor of having Officer Collin reassigned here, raise your hands.
We didn't lose by much. If more students had turned out, we would have won.
If there were more students, all they had to do was not to count the students' vote. The establishment makes the rules for themselves. They counted us because it was safe to count us.
Hi, kids. I heard about the meeting. Thanks for trying, troops.
They didn't even pay any attention to the police report about crime and vandalism going down since you got here. They wouldn't even listen. It was just a waste of time.
The important thing is that you tried, that you said what you think, and that they let you say it.
Whoopee, we said it and they didn't listen. They'll never listen.
But it was weird, you know?
We don't know nothing. We just kids in school. We don't know nothing.
Yeah, but it was really weird.
Bernie, what was weird?
Well, I had to practically drag my old man to come down here tonight. I mean, he wanted to watch the ball game on the tube, you dig?
Man, you singing everybody's song, Bernie. Why don't you just be cool? You're a drag.
You don't understand, Jace. My old man voted right along with us. I mean, coming down here tonight, he didn't want to have anything to do with any cop who was easy on kids. But when he voted right along with us.
Hey, so did my mother. She was right there.
Well, maybe the meeting wasn't such a waste of time after all.
The system only lost 2 votes. Whoopee.
Right, 2 votes. That means 2 more people are listening.
That don't help Harry.
Not today. But, Jace, we're gaining on him.
Yeah, but we'll be a long time catching up.
Not necessarily. Oh, sure, you lost 1 round. That doesn't mean you give up. You know, pretty soon you'll be voting. You'll be the community. You and the 2 people you picked up. So keep fighting. Maybe we'll start winning.
Morning, officer.
Good morning, officer. Welcome to Whitman High.
Hey, baby, what's happening? Listen, the other officer used to have coffee in the morning before school. So what you do is you go to the parking lot, take a right down the stairway with the red railing, and you're in.
Thank you.
It's okay. My name's Bernie. See you later.
Excuse me, officer. But us cats decided we gonna love you to death whether you dig it or not. Good morning, baby. Stay cool.
Morning.
Morning, officer.
So what's that supposed to be?
That's Pam, you yo-yo.
Don't you know a portrait of an artist when you see one?
Oh, be serious. Are they really going to pay you to do that?
Yes.
I'm going to get me some of that art stuff.
You know, the Art Institute is the best art school in the country. You know that, don't you?
I know it, man. I can't believe this is happening to me.
How about that, Chase? Pam winning the scholarship.
I sure never thought they'd give it to her.
You never think anybody gives anything to anybody.
When I flashed how good she was, I sure never thought they'd let her go all the way.
When do you start?
Next September.
Hey, Pam, you still going to talk to us when you're rich and famous?
Oh, darling, I love you little people.
Well, this little people's going to class.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
You really did quite a job, Mrs. Quillen.
I had little help from Pam.
And I almost talked her into a science program.
Listen, I'm used to it. Who brings up his kid to be an artist?
She's really good, huh?
Oh, she's got it. And with the training she's going to get, there'll be no touching her.
Oh, here you are, Mr. Kaufman.
Oh, I am Dragan. Come on in. Join the party.
Well, Mr. Kaufman, on behalf...
Wait a minute. I think... Congratulations in order. I said, wait a minute. I thought I saw your name here.
Mr. Kaufman, I am here to protest a change in the syllabus which eliminates the name of Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Alfred Lord Tennyson. Right, here it is. I thought so. I knew you were one of her sponsors. Congratulations. Pam got the scholarship.
What scholarship? What are you talking about?
Pam Arnold to the Art Institute.
I don't know anything about it.
Well, you signed her application.
I beg your pardon. I did no such thing. I did not sign that.
Does look like your signature, doesn't it?
Well, I suppose there is a similarity.
Are you suggesting forgery?
Wait a minute. Hold it. Let's let that be the last time anyone uses that word.
How about good penmanship?
Ken, do you remember signing that application?
No.
Well, I remember way back in January, Pam and I discussed the application. And she figured that since you were the head of the department, that your signature would be a good one to get.
Well, she got it, but not from me.
Ken, are you absolutely certain that Pam did not ask you to be her sponsor?
Mr. Dragan already said she never asked him.
Not exactly. He said he didn't remember.
I really don't understand what everyone's getting so upset about.
No big thing, no big thing. Just a little group dynamics, the spirited give and take of a free people. Now, look, Pete. Now, you say you conferred with Pam and you both decided whose signature she should get, right?
All right. You, Ken, myself, and Betty.
All right. Now, we all remember signing, but you say you might have, but you don't remember exactly.
I'm sorry. I believe I said quite clearly that I did not sign the document in question.
Oh, my, what are we going to do? We can't let a student get a scholarship on a borrowed signature. It'd be so unfair to all the others who competed. Well, this is terrible.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to hear what Pam has to say about all this?
Certainly would.
Yeah, I've had her waiting. I'll bring her in. Pam, would you come in, please? Why don't you sit down over here? Pam, there's been some question about your application for your scholarship, so we thought we'd bring you in and help get it straightened out, okay?
Okay.
Pam, it's been a very exciting day for you, hasn't it?
Oh, it sure has.
And for us, too. Pam, did you ask Mr. Dragan to sign your application?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
Nothing. He just signed it.
Did you talk about it? Do you remember anything special?
No, nothing special.
Did he ask you any questions about your plans or anything?
No, he just signed it.
Did that seem strange?
Not really. Everybody doesn't do the same thing.
Yeah. Pam, is it possible that in your haste, maybe if Mr. Dragan wasn't in his room and you knew he was going to do it anyhow, so you just maybe went ahead yourself?
What are you trying to say? Listen, I don't sign anybody's name but my own.
Of course.
Pam, how did Mr. Dragan's signature get on that application?
He put it there.
Yeah, she went down to the art room. Pretty great at winning that scholarship, ain't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
She's probably making a dollar Ken Draken to stick a pin into. Hi.
Hi.
May we talk with you a minute?
They don't believe me, do they?
Well, you have to admit the whole thing does seem kind of strange.
So what's gonna happen?
We don't know yet. Nothing's been decided.
Well, am I gonna lose the scholarship? It's possible.
But not if we can help it.
Well, it's not fair. I told him what happened.
Mr. Dragan said he's positive he didn't sign anything.
Then he's a lie. Why do they have to believe him? Just because he's a teacher? Does that mean he's so great and perfect?
Pam, you're not going to help anything this way.
Well, I'm sorry. I just don't like being the one who gets accused all the time, that's all.
Nobody's accusing you. But the problem between your version and Mr. Dragan's is that you have something to gain and he doesn't.
He sure does. He doesn't like me.
Oh, come on, Pam.
No, it's true. I remember being afraid to ask him to sign the thing because I thought he'd say no. But you told me it would be good to have the head of the English department's signature. And when he signed it, I was surprised.
Even if you're not his favorite student, that does not explain why the man says that's not his signature.
Yeah, well, what if he planned the whole thing right from the start? I bet you anything he planned to sign that thing just so later on he could say he didn't. Don't you see, he knew how that would make me look.
You really think he dislikes you that much?
Well, why else would he want to ruin my whole life?
Think hard. Was there anybody else around when Mr. Dragan signed the application?
Yeah, there were a lot of people.
Who?
I don't know, some kids and...
Were there any teachers around?
Why does it always have to be teachers, Mr. Dixon? I mean, everybody knows the kids are just a bunch of liars.
Will you stop fighting us, Pam? We're trying to help you.
I'm sorry.
Was anybody else there?
Miss Johnson. That's right, Miss Johnson was in there.
Yes, I do. I remember it exactly. It was Friday after class, and I had to go see Mr. Dragan about a footnote that I didn't understand in this really sensational article he wrote on Alfred Lord Tennyson, the poet. And he was in this terrific snit about something, and I decided not to bother him. You know how he gets.
Alice, what about Pam?
Well, I'm absolutely certain that she was one of the kids around Mr. Dragan's desk. She had on this groovy sort of African print that had blue jutting out.
Well, what did she do? I mean, what was she there for?
She was waiting to see Mr. Dragan.
Was she carrying anything?
Papers. She had these, these sort of papers in one hand, and a book under her arm, and this dynamite necklace with pearly blue stones that just went all...
Alice, do you remember whether or not Mr. Dragan signed the papers?
The papers? No. No, I don't remember. But she really looked sensational. Is something wrong?
But you're absolutely certain you don't remember seeing Mr. Dragan sign anything of Pam's?
No. Should I have?
That's enough. It's enough. Come on, another half a lap. No. Well, I guess that's not bad for your first time out.
What are you trying to do to me?
I'm making you feel good.
I thought I did.
Don't be ridiculous. You felt terrible.
I can hardly get my breath.
Good. Listen, while I got you weak, I want to talk to you about something.
You gonna save Alfred Lord Tennyson?
Oh, no, we'll talk about him another time. I wanted to talk to you about this business of your signature on that girl's application. You know, I've been kind of upset about that.
Oh.
I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if I wasn't afraid that what's on the line may be the future of an obviously talented girl. I mean, think about it in terms of the outcome. Suppose she loses this scholarship. A thing like that could have an adverse effect on her whole life.
Are you suggesting we shouldn't say anything to the Art Institute and just let them go ahead and give her the scholarship?
Well, that would be up to you, Ken. But I'm sure you're not the kind of a man that would want to be responsible for ruining that girl's future.
would a man like you simply ignore her transgression?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of ignoring a transgression, Ken. I think it's a matter of being a little flexible.
You're saying that you believe that is actually my signature.
All I say is, I think it is possible. Now, you do admit you're human, Ken. You are fallible.
I beg your pardon. I know exactly what you're saying. You're saying I'm deliberately persisting in my account of the events rather than acknowledge the possibility of error.
Oh, come on, Ken.
I'm sorry. I've been a teacher 19 years. This is the first time anyone's questioned my integrity.
Ken, I did not say one word about your integrity. I would never do that.
Not directly. But that's really what the issue is about, isn't it? Will I or will I not admit that it's all my fault? That the girl is right. And that I'm either a fool or a liar. No, I won't. But what I will do is spare you any further agony about her future. You'll find my resignation on your desk in the morning.
Ken.
Hey, Pam, you really thought they were gonna give you something?
Well, it's the last time for me, I tell you that. And they can keep that mess about getting ahead, too.
Hey, you ready for this? Mr. Dragan quit.
Man, be serious. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, Mr. Dragan resigned.
Look, don't be a jerk. I was just in his class.
Well, you don't just walk out when you resign, you know. You wait till the end of the year.
Hey, wait, where'd you hear that?
I heard it. Has something to do with your scholarship and all that stuff.
Oh, I don't believe you.
All right, don't believe me, you know.
Well, what do you want to go do a thing like that for?
Maybe they found out he was lying.
How they gonna find out a thing like that? You trying to say they're gonna believe Pam over him?
Maybe I ought to go say something.
What are you gonna say?
I don't know, something. I mean, I don't want him to quit on account of something I said.
Shoot, what do you care? It's probably a trick to get you to own up to something.
Look, you're the one that's getting hurt, not him.
That's right, and they wouldn't believe you if you swore on a stack of Bible. If you gotta go, baby, you might as well take one of them with you.
Yeah, right. I don't care about him quitting. I don't see none of them crying over me.
Right on, sister, right on.
1, Pam Arnold should be disciplined for forging the name of a teacher. 2, a full report should be sent immediately to the Art Institute with a recommendation that the scholarship be awarded to someone else. 3, the administration must apologize in writing to Mr. Dragan and urge him to withdraw his resignation.
Is that all?
That's all.
Wonder why he didn't suggest we hang Pam by her thumbs for a couple of hours.
We think an insult to a teacher is not something to laugh at.
Mr. Yarnell, I don't like insults to anybody, not even students.
Do you mean this girl? Do you mean we're insulting her?
Is that so hard to believe?
Oh, please.
You know, you don't even know what really happened.
Do you?
No. And that's exactly why I don't want any part of your headhunt.
You think we should just let Ken Dragan's career go right down the drain, is that it?
No. But I do think we ought to stop wasting time with all this nonsense and try to help the man understand.
Oh, come on now, Pete.
May we adjourn now? Thank you.
How do you expect us to maintain our authority when the administration doesn't back us up?
A lot of us think there could be a real showdown over this.
What kind of a showdown?
Well, unless you do what's in here, there'll be a whole bunch of incidents like this. A lot of kids are sneaks and liars. They'll be saying it's their word against ours.
Do you hear what you're saying? Do you really believe your authority and credibility with students comes from the principal's office? Is that what makes you teachers? An iron fist down the hallway to zap any student who steps out of line, huh?
Well, let's see you keep order in the classroom sometime.
That's right.
I have been in charge of a classroom. And I know it's not easy to keep order, but maybe order isn't what it's all about. You make these kids sound like all they're waiting for is a sign of weakness so they can move in and take over. Do you realize that in a couple of years they'll be working, voting, serving on juries, dying maybe in some war? To hear you tell it, we're keepers. We're here to sit on cheats and lies until they're let loose on an unsuspecting nation.
Are you just finding that out?
Evidently. You want an answer right now, don't you?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. I guess I can give you an answer. Let me put it like this. If Ken Dragan is not here next year, this is going to be a much poorer place. We're all going to lose. We lose because Ken is a good teacher, and I don't know anything in the world that's harder to be than that, or more worth being. But unless there's more evidence that Pam Arnold forged that signature, I'm not going to do what you people want. I am not going to sacrifice that girl for Ken Dragan or anyone else. Teachers, after all, principals too, for that matter, are only a means to an end. Students is what we're all here for.
Are you busy? No, I'm not busy.
You know what amazes me?
No.
All the stupidity in the world, and we can still think that there's something important about saving face.
You think I'm a fool?
No, I don't think that. I do think you're making a mistake, though.
You're really saying I should forgive the girl and forget the whole thing?
Ken, I don't think there's anything to forgive the girl for. Tell me something. How can you be so certain that you did not sign that application? I mean, we sign so many forms every day. Isn't it possible that, well, you may have signed it and thought it was something else?
You know, I used to think I was going to be a poet. The Tennyson of our time. There aren't many rewards to teaching, are there? There's a little satisfaction, a little respect, and certain abstract notions of truth and honor. They're all I've got. She's got her whole life ahead of her.
Ken, that's not the point. The point is that without any proof, you're asking that Pam's scholarship be taken away from her.
No, I'm not. All I'm asking is that I be left alone.
Mr. Kaufman standing up to practically a whole delegation of teachers. I think that's terrific. Don't you?
What about all those teachers saying I'm a liar? Now, how terrific is that? I wouldn't take that scholarship if they begged me.
Oh, don't say that. That's terrible.
Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly how I feel about it, that's all.
Oh, you can't do that.
Yes, I can do that. I can do anything I want to do. And I'm not going to go someplace they say I cheated to get there. That's out, not me.
Say, that's very nice.
I think it's right.
No, don't. Pam, don't. Oh. Sorry you didn't like that. Well,
Wait, is it true what they're saying about you quitting?
me? Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I did tender my resignation.
How come?
Well, there are a number of reasons.
You didn't have to go do that on account of something I said. I'm nobody.
Who told you that?
Told me what?
That you're nobody. Pam, it just occurred to me that we're both having trouble accepting a very simple truth. That we're somebody. Does that make sense at all?
You too? You're a teacher.
You're a woman and an artist.
You know, sure would be a lot easier to be somebody if people weren't always pushing you and telling you had to be somebody, you know?
Yeah, it certainly would. It'd be much easier if people weren't so ready to choose up sides and make a war about a difference of opinion between two essentially decent people.
Oh, yeah, ain't it the truth? I tell you. Look, I know I'm nobody to be telling you. See, there I go again. But what I'm trying to say is, I wish you wouldn't quit.
You mean because you're not worth it?
See there? You're a good teacher.
Well, thank you, Pam.
Well, I'm not telling you nothing you don't know.
Anything. Anything, Pam. Watch the double negatives.
Anything, yes, sir.
I've got an idea. May not be too bad if you'll agree. Why don't you just bring me that application and I'll sign it?
Again?
Does it matter again or for the first time? Now, does that really matter? The point is, we can both agree that it's my signature and I put it there, see? We could get witnesses.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a big signing ceremony. We'll fill up the whole auditorium.
I'll award the pen to Mr. Yarnell.
And next semester, I'll come back. I'll be the big Lottie-Dog grad, and I'll come by and say hi.
Yeah. Is that agreed now when you agree to that?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be delighted to see you.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I got a worse one than that, though. Listen, one of my students came up to me and asked if he could be let out of last period because he wanted to go to his grandmother's funeral.
Oh, I don't get it.
Well, wait a minute. That's because I haven't finished yet.
Oh.
Don't worry about it.
Anyway.
So what happened?
Anyway, so the next day he comes back again and he says, Mr. Dixon, can I get out of last period? He said the funeral had been called off because of rain.
Oh, no.
I told you. Didn't I tell you they were sneaky? Oh, you gotta watch them every minute.
Oh, you made his day, shucks.
Miss Johnson, I'm in the most incredible trouble with my mom again. You gotta help me.
Well, what happened this time?
Well, she never believes me. Last night... Oh! There's my boyfriend.
Yes.
I'll talk to you after lit today, okay, Miss Johnson? It's vital.
Real good, Margaret, sure.
No!
Oh, good morning, Alice.
Good morning.
Hi, Alice.
Hi.
Beautiful day, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
Are you okay?
Sure, fine. Swell.
Were you up all night grading papers again?
Mm-hmm. Some kids came by, and then Margaret Peters phoned again. Well, I couldn't turn them away.
You know, you keep this up, you're going to be the best-loved teacher in the hospital.
At least I'd get some sleep. There are still a number of delinquent candy accounts. Any student on the delinquent list must turn in their money or the chocolates by Friday without fail. All right, Barney, would you and George please pass out the books Mr. Dragon had sent up?
Is that our next assignment?
Yes, Margaret.
Silas Marner.
Come on now. It's a classic.
Classics. That means it's guaranteed to put you to sleep, right? Why can't we study the books we like once in a while?
Because they ain't classic, man.
Well, in a sense. See, they haven't withstood the test of time.
Yeah, but that don't mean that they aren't fun to read and that we can't learn lots from them.
Teachers think you only learn something when it hurts.
Now, that's not true, Barney. But we do have a certain curriculum we must follow.
Yeah, but I bet you'd rather read modern books just like us, wouldn't you, Miss Johnson?
Sure she would. She's not a creep like old man Dragan.
Dragan thinks anything after Nathaniel Hawthorne is science fiction.
Science fiction is practically pornography.
Not everyone has the same taste. Besides, Mr. Dragan is head of the English department.
So we gotta read a book he likes.
Miss Johnson, we just got through with the old classic. Why can't we study a book we want, and then we'll study that old Silas Marner?
Yeah, right on.
Well, do you have a book in mind, Pat?
How about Catch-22?
Catch-22?
Yeah, it won all kinds of literary awards, and lots of people think it's a really great book.
What's it about?
Well, see, there's this dude, you're Syrian, and he's in the army, right? And he wants out. And the only way you can get out is to tell the medics you're crazy. But if he knows that he wants out, then he can't be crazy, so he's in, which really makes him crazy. And if the dude asks to get out, then he can't be crazy. So, I mean, that's Catch-22. Dig it?
Kind of reminds me of school.
Oh, come on, Miss Johnson. Be a good egg, please. Let's read the book we want, and then we'll read the book you want.
Miss Johnson's with us, Pat. She wants to study the same book as us. Don't you, Miss Johnson?
Well, all right. But first we'll study Silas Marner, then Catch-22.
Oh, why can't we do it the other way around? We're still recuperating from the mill on the floss.
Yeah, and we'll feel so great after Catch-22, we won't mind Silas Marner so much. It'll help the educational process.
Okay, Miss Johnson, Catch-22 first, please.
You know, we could use a few of you kids at the Paris peace talks. Okay, it's a deal. First Catch-22, but then Silas Marner.
Best teacher at Whitman.
You can say that again.
Best teacher at Whitman.
It's my boyfriend. My parents don't approve, especially Mom, so when I called you last night...
Oh, yes, at 11 o'clock.
I was with Mo.
Oh, Miss Johnson, you thought about that bee of mine yet?
Barney,
Miss Johnson, remember what you told me to tell the boys about the night? Oh, yes, I have. So what am I supposed to do? Here, take it.
I handed it tomorrow. Would that be all right?
Shut up, George. I told my mother I was studying...
Margaret, handed what tomorrow?
Mill on the Floss book report. I know I said today, but I'll get it tomorrow for sure.
Was that the one that was due 2 weeks ago?
See, if I don't get that B in English, no track team. No track team, no scholarship, no nothing. I'm going to be in serious.
Please, Miss Johnson. So if you could just sign this note saying that we were studying together last night.
See, if I don't get that B, I've had it. Why stay in school?
I can't sign this note, Margaret.
Will it be all right? The book report, I mean.
Yes, I guess so.
Oh, swell. Hey, you're great, Miss Johnson.
Oh, you've got to, Miss Johnson. It's the truth. We talked for a long time. That was studying.
Miss Johnson, my whole future depends on that B, so you will get a few
Would you step in here a moment, please? I'd like a word with you.
In just a second, Mr. Dragan.
I don't have much time.
I have to go.
Oh, please, you're not like the other teachers. You understand. Just initial it, okay, Miss Johnson?
Now, you will explain the particulars to your mother, won't you, Margaret?
Oh, sure, of course, I promise. Oh, thanks, you're great,
Oh,
Miss
Miss
Johnson.
Johnson.
Fantastic.
What about my bee?
We'll see. I have to talk to Mr. Dragon.
Can you ask him what he thinks of Catch-22?
When Mr. Cotton was sergeant in my department, I was a little less than enthused. But from all reports, it appears you've been able to instill into your students a rare enthusiasm, which I shall be only too pleased to know to my evaluation report of your work at the end of the semester. Well done, Miss Johnson.
Thank you.
Now then, how is your Lit Class 204A getting on with Silas Marner?
Oh, well, Mr. Dragon, what I've done is, well, the class is sort of aiming at Silas Marner. You know, getting in the mood, preparing.
Good. Great book. My personal favorite. And perhaps the greatest book in our entire curriculum. Well, keep up the good work, Miss Johnson. Oh, Miss Johnson,
Yes, Mr. Dragon.
get some sleep.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Having any problems?
Oh, no. I left some papers in my desk that needed marking. I just thought I'd get here early, but I didn't realize that the doors would be locked.
You didn't realize.
That the doors would be locked.
I see. Okay, kid, what are you doing here?
Kid? Look, I'm Miss Johnson. I happen to be a teacher.
That's funny. Most teachers know what time school starts. What do you teach, kid?
English.
English, huh? Okay, who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Uncle Tom's Cabin? Well, that's easy. That's simple. Well, let's see. Everybody knows Uncle Tom's Cabin.
It's a book.
Well, I didn't think it was a motel.
All right, don't get wise.
Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Who was the bad guy?
Simon Legree. And do you want me to tell you who he reminds me of?
Okay. I guess you're a teacher, all right.
Thanks.
Do you mind if I give you a word of advice?
What is it?
Don't burn the candle on both ends. It ain't worth it. Try to get some sleep at night, Miss Johnson.
You're not an emergency clinic, Alice. You know, you're not supposed to be on duty 24 hours a day.
But they're such great kids, Pete.
Sure, but you can't do everything. Teach your regular classes, give special tutoring, and handle their individual emotional problems. It's too much.
How'd you like to coach the baseball team on the side?
Well, I am getting a little worn down, but...
What time did you get to bed last night?
Well, after I finished grading some of these quiz papers about... Oh, no, then Natasha Rogers called, and then Margaret again. Oh, about 1:32.
Alice, you have got to learn how to say no.
Pete's right. You've got to draw the line. I mean, I'm a sensitive, sympathetic counselor, but I don't get phone calls all hours of the night.
How do you manage it?
Leave the phone off the hook.
Of course it's a comedy. A black comedy.
How can you call a book about war and men getting killed funny?
Yeah, but that's what black comedy is. If you don't laugh, baby, you'd be crying all the time.
I disagree. Personally, it's an immoral book. Don't tell me. My father was in World War II, and this makes it all sound like it was crazy.
So what did your father think about the book?
I don't know.
Well, Barney, why don't you ask him?
Okay.
All right, read the next 3 chapters for tomorrow.
I know immorality. Yes.
Miss Johnson, you must be a veritable miracle worker.
Really?
To see a class so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed after 40 minutes of Silas Marner, you know, that proves that our students can learn to appreciate the classics if they're taught with enthusiasm and verve.
Thank you.
You know, tomorrow I'm going to permit myself a very special treat.
What treat is that, Mr. Dragon?
I'm going to witness firsthand what you're doing with Silas Marner. I'm going to audit your class. See you, Miss Johnson.
What's the matter? You're not hungry? Oh, no, not very. All right, Alice. Come on. What's on your mind?
You know I'm teaching Silas Marner?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not exactly teaching Silas Marner.
You're not?
I'm teaching Catch-22.
Figures?
No, you don't understand. You see, the kids felt...
Let me guess. The kids felt that Silas Marner would be a drag, but that Catch-22 would be fun, right? And you felt the kids would hate you if you forced them into that dusty old classic. But if you allowed them to read a swinging modern classic, they'd love you. Am I close?
Exactly. But that's still not all. Mr. Dragon's going to audit my class today. What am I going to do, Liz?
I tell you what I'd do.
What?
For openers, I'd pray.
Pray?
Pray.
What do you mean we've gotten all we can out of Catch-22?
We're hardly even into it.
What's going on, Miss Johnson?
Sounds like cop-out time to me.
Yeah. We had an agreement, remember? Catch-22 first, then we dig into Silas Marner. Now, would you please get out your copies of Silas Marner?
Mine is home.
Mine, too.
We didn't know we were supposed to bring them.
Of course you didn't. All right, let's go on with Catch-22.
Yeah.
Barney, you were going to ask your father what he thought of the book. Has he read it?
Yeah, he said he read it when it first came out.
Excuse me, Miss Johnson. People, please go on, just as if I weren't here.
Yes, of course. Well, now, where were we? Oh, yes. Barney, you were about to tell us what your father thought of the book.
Oh,
well, I'm not...
Wonderful. Now, that's wonderful, Miss Johnson, bringing the views of the parents into the classroom. Oh, sorry. Go on, just as if I weren't here.
Go ahead, Barney.
Oh, well,
It's all right, Barney. Now, go ahead. What'd your father have to say?
Well, he said a lot of things in the book were exaggerated. Like the way the nurses in the hospital cared more about their personal problems than they did about the patients.
Yes, practically everything in the book was exaggerated. Now, what do you think the author's intent was in exaggerating reality the way he did? Pat?
Well, it's just like in a painting. Sometimes the artist has to exaggerate certain features in order to get his point across.
Yeah, like the cat who cornered the whole cotton market in Egypt. That was impossible. But, you know, there were cats in the army stealing stuff and selling it.
Good. Now, does anybody else have an...
Excuse me just a moment, Miss Johnson. I must have come in here somewhere in the middle. Hospitals, nurses, stealing cotton. Now, I don't like to interrupt, but could someone please tell me what happened to Silas Marner and all this? Miss Johnson? I'm not upset, Miss Johnson. But I am seriously disappointed.
But Catch-22 is a marvelous novel.
It's a controversial novel, my dear. Silas Marner, on the other hand, is a time-tested classic. More importantly, it's on your teaching plan. Therefore, I suggest you teach it.
I was going to.
Miss Johnson, as you know, this is the first year of your probationary period.
Yes, sir.
Not a very promising beginning, is it? Not at all. From now on, Miss Johnson, you must place your trust in Silas Marner.
I'll try.
I hope so. I sincerely hope so.
Excuse me, Mr. Dragon. Miss Johnson, you wanted in Mr. Kaufman's office right now.
Dear Miss Peters, this is to let you know that your daughter, Margaret Celestine Peters, was studying with me last night as she claims she was. Yours very truly, A.J.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Kaufman?
Yes, come in, Miss Johnson. I don't believe you've met Margaret's mother, Mrs. Peters.
No, but I certainly wanted to meet you and find out what you thought you were doing when you signed that note. I'm sorry, Miss Johnson. Honest isn't a word I want to hear from you, Margaret.
I think I can explain, Mrs. Peters.
Please do. My daughter goes hoop-de-dooing off with a boy all hours of the night, and her teacher signs a note saying that she is studying. What do you teach, Miss Johnson? Sex education?
I don't think that's fair, Mrs. Peters. I think there's a reasonable explanation.
Well, I'd certainly like to hear one.
Miss Johnson?
Well, I'm afraid I did sign the note. We were studying. She did call me. I suppose that's a little misleading, but...
You were studying on the phone? What kind of a story is that?
It's a true one. I'm certain, Mrs. Peters, it's too far out to be anything else. I am equally certain that Miss Johnson was doing what she thought was best for Margaret, weren't you, Miss Johnson?
Be that as it may, Mr. Kaufman, you cannot explain away the fact that one of your teachers joined in a conspiracy to deceive a parent, and I don't like it, not one bit. Come on, Margaret, I want to talk to you. I'm sorry, Miss Johnson.
Miss Johnson, do you know why a teacher teaches for 3 years before he receives tenure?
Well, I suppose if he or she can't do his or her job, he or she can be let go or fired.
Exactly.
You gonna fire me, Mr. Kaufman?
Miss Johnson, I like your enthusiasm for teaching. I like your dedication, but aren't you aware of what this kind of foolish, thoughtless behavior can lead to?
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm afraid that's not good enough. Now, look. You've asked me if I'm going to fire you. I can only tell you that at the end of the semester, I will review your work and Mr. Dragon's evaluation, and I'll make a decision.
Thank you, Mr. Kaufman.
Oh, don't thank me because, well, I just hope I never hear anything like this again.
Yes, sir.
And Miss Johnson, I will be listening very carefully.
Alice, don't you think Mr. Kaufman was justified in reading your...
I guess so.
Alice, do you want to be a teacher?
Of course I do.
Then why don't you act like it?
What do you mean?
Well, your first responsibility is to teach English, right? Well, you've let your students' personal problems interfere with that job.
I don't know. I guess I'm just a flop.
Alice, if you're ever going to teach, you've got to get over this idea that your students have to love you. They don't. What they have to do is learn. And what you have to do is teach them.
But I don't know where to start.
Start with Silas Marner.
All right. Look, it's 3 weeks since I committed the treasonous act of forcing you to put aside Catch-22 and read Silas Marner. You didn't want to study Silas Marner. I didn't particularly want to teach it. But what about Silas himself and the life he lived?
You call that living?
What do you call it, Barney?
Personally, it's a pretty miserable existence.
You mean because Silas was a miser?
Sure, all he cared about was money.
He certainly wasn't the most fun-loving cat in town.
Is the meaning of Silas Marner that money is bad?
Well, all it bought old Silas is being lonely.
Yeah, but that's because he used it like a shield to keep people away from him, right?
Oh, come on.
Okay, stop. Know what we've been doing? Thinking about Silas Marner. Arguing about it. And I bet some of us have actually been enjoying it. See? It's possible.
Hey, so that's why when he lost all that old gold, he was, like, vulnerable. And he could love that little girl, Eppie, right?
In other words, when he lost the money, he was forced to change, right? Okay, now remember, this is a time when England was changing. The Industrial Revolution was coming on like a steam engine.
So that hanging on to gold was like hiding from change. If you don't hang loose, you're dead.
Right. That's right.
What do you think of Jason's interpretation of Silas Marner, Mr. Dragon?
Oh, well, it is a somewhat unorthodox view of the book.
It wasn't the gold that was bad, it was Silas believing in it. Don't you think everybody's got to change their beliefs once they find out they're dragging behind the times?
Well, actually, you have a very interesting point there.
You mean you believe in revolution?
In change. In change, I hope there is a difference.
Some people think one's impossible without the other.
Is that what you think, Pat?
Well, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure.
Well, what about the changes that have taken place in this country over the years?
What kind of changes?
Well, what ones can you think of?
I'm sorry, Mr. Dragon, but I think I'm right.
No, Jason, the thoughts of Chairman Mouse simply don't apply to Silas
But,
Marner.
Mr. Dragon, I think I'm right.
I don't care.
Have you decided about my B yet, Miss Johnson?
Yes. You'll get a B if and when you earn it. And it's well within your capacity.
You know something, Miss Johnson? You've changed.
Well, that's what Silas Marner was all about, wasn't it?
Miss Johnson, you're never going to believe this.
But what?
But I'm in trouble with my mother again, and I gotta talk to you.
Look, Margaret, we're going to have to limit our conversations to what goes on in class. Now, you have friends to discuss your personal problems with. And if they're serious, you can go see your counselor.
Between the hours of 8 and 4:10 in my office, okay, Margaret?
Oh, swell, Miss McIntyre. Sweating.
I've been trying to get up the nerve to do that for weeks.
Well, that wasn't so bad, was it?
Well, actually, it's a great relief. Except
what?
Well, Margaret says she has another problem with her mother.
About what?
Well, that's just it. Now it looks like I'm never going to find out. And then Mr. Dragon said he had never encountered so many far-fetched interpretations of a book.
Is that good?
No, but he said he'd never encountered such enthusiasm either.
That is good.
So what are you going to teach next?
Well, we're going to finish Catch-22.
Catch-22?
Yes, Mr. Dragon said it was all right since the class handled Silas Marner the way they did.
Well, you should be very proud.
Oh, I am. And Mr. Dragon even preferred Catch-22 to a classic. One of the kids suggested we study.
Dragon did to a classic? Which one?
Lady Chatterley's Lover.
filled it out already. I've been here an hour.
Young man, this office has only been open 22 minutes. After you complete the yellow cards, take a pink and a blue one from these boxes over here. Fill those out and return them to me with your yellow card.
Pardon me, miss. I'm Tom Gianelli.
Yes. Oh, yes. Mr. Kaufman told me you'd be here this morning. Did you bring your transfer papers, Tom?
Mm-hmm. Right here.
Well, I'll just fill these out for you.
What is that? How does he range?
Is there a water fountain around here, miss?
Yes, right over there.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, miss.
You're welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
You made the coffee this morning, Miss Johnson?
Right. Anything wrong?
Oh, no, it's just fine. Anyhow, getting back to Gianelli. Before we get too excited, let's remember the old thing. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game that counts.
Oh, you don't really believe that, do you?
I believe it, but I'm so tired of it. We always play badly and lose well. I'm so glad our luck has changed I could go out for cheerleader.
Terrific. You want some more coffee?
No, thank you.
Oh, hi, Liz.
Hi. Have you spoken to Tom Gianelli yet?
Yep.
You made the coffee this morning, Alice?
So how come everybody knows?
Well, what did you think?
Well, I can see why he's a high school legend. He's absolutely charming, but he...
165 pounds of pure glory for Walt Whitman High, and all you can say is charming?
That's not all she said. She also said but. But what?
But he has a C average.
Since when is a C average a problem?
Since we first realized that Van Buren is about a year and a half behind us academically. I mean, 2 A students transferred from Van Buren, and they could barely make C's here.
We have a problem.
Well, maybe not so bad. Let's see what happens when I test him.
You see, some of the events leading up to the American Revolution were more interesting than the revolution itself. So I want you to examine certain phrases, names, places, political slogans, etc.
Sorry about that.
What comes to your mind when you hear the names Lexington and Concord?
1 if by land and 2 if by sea.
No taxation without representation.
The Boston Massacre.
Good. Does anybody know what the Boston Massacre was?
Yeah, it was a bummer. New York 35, Boston 0.
Very funny, Tom. Now, would you like to try and answer the question? Tom, you read chapters 8 through 11 so you can catch up. The rest of you read chapter 11. Helen, would you pass back last week's quiz? Oh, Helen, are you there?
Oh, yeah, sure. When I, sitting, heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon, unaccountable, I became tired and sick, till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself in the mystical, moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. Now, what was the poet trying to say?
Sounds like he was trying to say he was sick and tired of lectures.
I think he was trying to say a little more than that. Tom, did you get anything out of it?
I'm afraid not, Miss Johnson. Poetry's not exactly my thing.
Well, okay. Helen.
Well, I think the poet was trying to say that there's more to the stars and the skies than mathematics and astronomical charts. There are things that can't be measured. Beauty and mysticism. And romance.
You're very good, Helen. Does anyone know who wrote the poem? Oh, you're gonna hate yourselves when you find out. Bernie?
The man our school was named after, Walt Whitman.
Right.
Since when you start knowing about poetry, man?
I don't know anything about poetry, but I do know what's inscribed over the water fountain in the main hall.
Okay, class dismissed.
Hey, you're not only pretty, you're smart.
Thank you.
Helen, could I see you a minute?
Oh, sure.
You have a lot of classes with Tom Gianelli, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, I had this thought. You know, this is a much tougher school academically than the one Tom came from. And I was thinking that a good student like you could really make a terrific contribution to the football team by, well, sort of encouraging him and inspiring him and
helping him.
If you really want to.
Tom, did you have any trouble with the math assignment?
Nope, no trouble. I didn't have time to do it.
Here, I had time.
Wow. Thanks, Helen.
Has anybody seen Liz?
She's testing Tom Gianelli.
Oh, how's he doing in your class?
Not bad. How about yours?
Not bad.
How about his other classes, Mr. Kaufman?
Well, I'm delighted to report, not bad. Not great, but not bad.
Hi, gang.
Skip the preliminaries. How'd our boy test?
I'm sorry, those scores are confidential to be used for counseling and other legitimate purposes.
Oh, Liz, what a time to get hard-nosed.
He's in the upper 10 percentile.
You're kidding.
Liz, I'm warning you, if you're putting us on...
His IQ is over 135.
The boy is brilliant. What were we worried about?
That he wouldn't be able to keep up with the work?
Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore, do we?
Don't we?
What do you mean, don't we? You heard what she just said. The boy has a very good brain.
That has obviously been going to waste because he never had to use it.
He's right. An IQ of 135 does not jive with his grade average, Mr. Kaufman.
Oh, now, come on, you two. I've got a cup that's half full. You two see it as half empty.
We're only doing our job.
Gloom mongers.
Congratulations, Helen. I got an A.
You know, when one of you gets a D or an F, it means that I failed. I failed to get you to think about history. So in a way, your grades are my grades. Bernie?
Mr. Dixon, would you please explain to my father how come you got a D on this test?
Oh, Helen. Can I see you a minute?
I'll wait.
Are you satisfied with the C on that paper? You know it wasn't up to your usual standards.
I know it was too short, Mr. Dixon. I, didn't have time to do more.
Okay. Work on it some more tonight, and I'll reconsider the grade, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Tom, can I see you a minute?
Catch you later.
Where's the research assignment I gave you?
Well, you said there wasn't any rush doing it, so I'm doing it carefully.
Good. About finished?
Pretty soon.
I want it tomorrow.
I'm not sure I could have it finished by tomorrow.
You've had 2 weeks.
I know, Mr. Dixon, but they kept me pretty busy on that field. You used to play football, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, then I guess you know how it is.
Make it short, Tom, but make it your own. Tom, do your best and you'll make it in this class.
Gotcha, Mr. Dixon.
Make it hurt! Go! Come on, you guys, look sharp. We got a game to win on Saturday. Now, come on, let's work. Get them up. Keep them high. Right. Come on, stop those guys. Come on. There we go. 1, 2.
Nice pass, Tom.
Thanks, Mr. Dixon. Did you get my paper yet?
Yes, I did.
You know, I really had to work on that one. I had to type it 3 times before it was even neat enough to hand in.
Very well typed.
Every word of it was mine, too. So what'd you grade me on it?
F.
F.
Tom, I wasn't given grades on good typing.
Hey, Frank, throw a few, okay?
Tom, all you did was reproduce what was in the book. Oh, you were smart enough to change the words, but you didn't bother to challenge the concepts, the viewpoints, or give any real thinking to the material.
Okay, that's a reason for giving me a C, maybe. Or even a D. But an F?
Tom, if I really thought that was the best you could do, I would have given you a B or a C.
Man, I really tried. I did my best. I did.
No, Tom, you didn't do anywhere near your best. I doubt if you ever have, except on a football field.
What did I do? I thought you liked me.
Oh, I like you. Everybody likes you. You're a real winner, Tom, but it's costing you. And you know, I have a feeling that your whole life has been one long free ride.
What's wrong with that?
Free rides don't take you very far. Sooner or later, you're going to have to pay your dues. Tom, you've got a brain, and I'm going to insist that you start using it.
Pete. Hi. Pete. One day to turn in an assignment, then you give the kid an F. What are you trying to do to me? There aren't that many Tom Gianellis in a principal's life.
I'm afraid the story lost something in the translation. You see, Tom had that assignment 2 weeks before I gave him the 1 day's notice.
Oh. In that case, what's that kid trying to do to me?
The question is, what's he trying to do to himself?
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, why so gloomy, Mr. Kaufman?
Jitters, that's all. Routine, pre-game jitters. Oh, how's Tom Gianelli doing in your class?
Great.
Well, that's good.
What about Helen?
Oh, she's a big help to him.
I know. That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, what's wrong with Helen helping Tom? I mean, you want us to have a winning team this season, don't you?
Oh, sure. But I've got a question.
What?
Why are we here? I mean, to produce winning teams or to help young people realize their full academic potential?
Not too crazy about that question.
Well, can't we do both?
I don't think we can in Tom's case. You see, he may be a star in high school, but there's no guarantee he's going to make it as a professional. And even if he does, a professional player's career only lasts until he's about 35, and then he's through. I knew a guy in college once, and we had a name for him. He's just like Tom. We called him America's Guest.
America's Guest?
Yeah, a guy who makes it through life being charming, a freeloader.
Now, Tom isn't a freeloader.
Not yet, he isn't. But what happens to a guy when he gets used to having everything done for him? Let's face it. Are we really helping Tom Gianelli? Tomorrow we'll have a midterm oral exam covering everything that we've studied so far.
How much is going to count on our grade?
A lot, Jason, a lot.
How come an oral quiz, Mr. Dixon?
Well, an oral quiz gives me a better feedback on how much I've gotten through to each of you. And each of you will be on your own. Now, if anybody thinks that this quiz is designed to ambush you personally, well, you're wrong. Any questions?
Yeah.
Pam.
Mr. Dixon, will suicide get you out of it?
Only if you bring in a note from your parents.
Hi, Miss McIntyre.
Hello.
Mr. Dixon.
Tom?
Yeah, I've been thinking about our little talk. You're absolutely right. I didn't give that report my best. I'll do another one, okay?
Nope.
What do you mean?
I mean, I have a lot of things to do myself, and I don't have time to read another report. The oral quiz will be enough.
Pete, you know that friend you had in college?
Yeah?
The one you called America's Guest? How'd he end up?
Badly. Very badly.
Hey, what's the matter?
Oh, Dixon is really out to get me. He won't let me write another report.
Oh. Tom, you never did ask me, you know.
Ask you what?
To write another report for you. You just assumed it.
Well, wouldn't you?
Yes. But suppose Mr. Dixon said okay, and I said no. I mean, I wouldn't, and you know I couldn't. But someone might.
Well, Dixon just did.
Okay, then learn from it. Listen, You don't need people to say yes to you all the time to get by.
All right, suppose I told you I'm going to read that book cover to cover tonight, and I want you to quiz me at the end of every chapter. What would you say?
Yes.
All right.
Before we begin, I want to mention a couple of things that I expect from you during this oral quiz. And some I don't expect. I don't expect polished oratory, but what I do want from you is evidence that you've thought about the material. So just relax and approach it as though you and I were discussing a subject that interested the both of us. Jason, the Declaration of Independence is considered one of the world's great documents. Why is that so?
Well, it gave the colonies real arguments for splitting up with England, and it gave them real clear.
And that's what you think is most interesting?
Oh, yeah. Me and my friends sit around all the time talking about the old Declaration of Independence.
Okay, sit down. Helen, let's chat about the Stamp Act.
Well, it was one of the first colonial grievances that led to the revolution. But you know, the thing that's interesting is that if you read the American protest against it, you get really angry at British tyranny and all that. But then, if you read their arguments for having a stamp tax, they seem very reasonable.
And what does that lead you to believe?
Well, that there are two sides to every question. And that in a war, each side believes it's the only right side.
Very good, Helen. Tom, what do you think about the two Adams cousins?
John and Sam?
Those are the ones.
Well, John got to be president, and Sam didn't. Some of the history books say that Sam Adams. Mr. Dixon, can I sit down when I talk?
Go ahead.
Right, some of the history books say that Sam Adams was supposed to be a real rabble-rouser, and he was always jiving the people of Boston, trying to get them to do what he wanted. And John was supposed to be a Boy Scout, very noble. But if Sam was always conning the people for some private trip of his own, I don't see what good it did him. Sam wasn't the one who got to be president. But the same books make a big hero out of John, who became the defense attorney for the British soldiers who did the shooting at the Boston Massacre. Maybe it was noble, because it was sure unpopular with the people of Boston. It was very popular with the Royalists, the British soldiers, because they were running things. John became a big man in the colonies after that. See, the thing is, even if the two cousins had different personalities, there wasn't really any difference in the way things worked out.
Well, of course, I'm pleased that we have a winning football team. But I tell you what pleases me even more. The fact that a boy like Tom Gianelli can make it as a student all on his own and still have time for football. I mean, after all, we're not in the business of turning out winning football teams, are we? We're here to help young people realize their full potential. I mean, that's what I'm always trying to impress on Mr. Dixon here, right, Pete?
Right.